Welcome back, everyone. All right, so let's go ahead and let's continue this here. I'm going to push here, E to extrude, and I will lock this to the Z axis here, and I'll just kind of bring this down. Um, right, and what I'll do is I'll actually push E to extrude again and lock it to the Z axis, of course. Okay, something like this. Now let's hop into the vertices select here, and what I'll do is I'll actually move this down like this, and I'll move this inward like that. And you can see how the mirror modifier really makes everything work quite well. Now what we can also do is we can also select all of these vertices and move them out like that here, but we should probably select this one too. And just move them out just a bit here, because after all, the nose does come out, right? And if you look at these helmets, they actually do come out a bit there, okay? So we have the top part here. Now, what we can do is we can actually subdivide this here. And the way we do that is if we go to Tools, and then we go Loop Cut and Slide, and we're going to just cut this probably around, I think probably around here, okay? And what we can do here is we can select Edge Select, and we can kind of extrude that out, and you can move it to any which way we want. All right, and so you can see that this helmet's already taken shape. Now I should also point out all of my tutorials and all of the tutorials you see on Mammoth Interactive usually deal with some kind of practical application. And in this case, we tend to like to make interactive 3D software, etc. So we tend to make most of our meshes very low poly. Now I'm going to show you how to make this higher poly at the end, but for the most part we're going to deal with low poly, because if we want to put this in a game, it has to be as low poly as possible. So even as you can see as I move around this, the video does kind of lag a bit, and the reason is that the computer, even though I have a pretty good computer, the video software and the 3D software does lag a bit. Okay, so from that we can actually go and you can do some really cool stuff here. So let's go ahead and let's select all of these here actually, and let's push E to extrude, and of course Z to lock, and then we can go and we can do this here like that. Okay, and so almost we can almost even leave it here like this, but that's not definitely not cool enough. So again, one thing that if you're a technically minded person, one thing you have to realize about art is that it does take a lot longer than you would expect, and a lot of the what you have to do is just a lot of little tweaking here. So just like little stuff like this does actually make it quite neat here. So I'm just trying to make it more like that here, and yeah, that actually looks kind of cool. I can bring that up a bit, and maybe this one can go up a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there we go. We got the side here. If we really wanted to, we could take both of these vertices and move it down just a bit, or maybe even just this one. Yeah, like that. All right, more like that, and there we go. So here you can see we have something that actually looks pretty good. This can probably go in a bit. Right, and all of these three vertices can go here. Now, if you've taken a lot of the other tutorials on Blender here at Mammoth Interactive, you'll realize you'll definitely realize that we tend to use face select and edge select a lot more than vertices select. And in this tutorial, we're using vertices select quite a bit. And there's probably a good reason for that is usually when you're on the mirror modifier and you're doing something that has to do with character, whether it's character modeling or even just like clothing and stuff like that, you tend to use vertice way more than you'd expect, right? And so usually for architecture you use face, but this is of course you can use vertices and edges and anything else wherever you want to. Okay, and so as you can see, this actually looks pretty cool all by itself, right? And it's actually very low poly, which is actually pretty good. Remember, you always want to make it as low poly as you can. You can always up the poly, but reducing it is a lot harder, because taking away detail is a lot harder than adding detail. A couple of things we could probably do if we really wanted to, we could probably bring this down a bit and we can probably bring this down, and that makes it look a little bit more mean. Now, if you ever watch really good animated movies, such as you'll know well. If you watch a lot of good animated movies, the way the eyes are set up are they spend actually a lot of time on that, and so making this look mean actually looks quite a bit cooler. All right, I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.